The young man was unarmed. That was a relief. But his next move was even more alarming. He bolted toward Daniel's bedroom window, ripping off the mosquito screen and preparing to jump, 3 stories down. It was a cold October night in Toronto, Canada, when an evening of celebration turned into a scene of panic and tragedy. Inside the Hungarian-Canadian Cultural Centre, a dance competition was coming to an end. But for one of its attendees, it would be their final performance. On the 3rd floor of the Cultural Centre, 16-year-old Daniel Kovacs sat in his family's small apartment. His father, Istvan Kovacs, worked as the live-in maintenance man, responsible for the upkeep of the building and event security. Tonight, Istvan had been asked to work the doors for the competition, a request made for one simple reason. He was 6'3" and weighed over 300 pounds. Daniel was absorbed in his favorite game, likely Diablo 2, when suddenly the front door burst open. A young man, frantic, wide-eyed, and breathless, rushed inside, slamming and locking the door behind him. He appeared to be around 17 or 18 years old. Instinctively, Daniel analyzed the situation. Who was this intruder? What was he running from? Then the stranger spoke. "Somebody's shooting down there." Daniel felt a cold wave of panic wash over him. His father was downstairs. He knew the chances of Istvan being shot were low, but fear had already settled in. His first priority was survival. The young man was unarmed. That was a relief. But his next move was even more alarming. He bolted toward Daniel's bedroom window, ripping off the mosquito screen and preparing to jump, 3 stories down. Daniel acted quickly. He pulled the boy away from the window. "You're more likely to survive the shooter in here than a 3-story fall," he told him. That seemed to calm him, but just then, banging at the door. Roughly 20 people rushed inside, seeking refuge in what they had assumed was an office or safe room. Some were crying, others frantically calling loved ones. Within moments, the apartment felt suffocating. A few of the shaken dancers approached Daniel, asking how to escape. He told them the only way out was the same way they had come in, downstairs, next to the function hall. The room fell silent for a moment before, collectively, they made a decision. The gunfire had stopped. They had to take their chances. Daniel locked the door behind him and rushed to find his father. As he descended, the chaotic aftermath of the shooting came into view. The scene was grim. Paramedics were already on site, attending to the victim, a young man, later identified as 19-year-old Ryan Szabo. He had been shot in the head. The bullet had torn through him just as the competition winner had been announced. The shooter had fired 3 rounds before disappearing into the night. Daniel finally found his father, alive but shaken. He had been knocked over in the panic, trampled by terrified guests pushing toward the exits, but he was otherwise unharmed. The investigation began immediately. The next day, police combed through the function hall, searching for evidence. 2 stray bullets had lodged into the ceiling. For days, officers scoured the attic above, hoping to recover any remaining fragments that might lead them to a suspect. Despite extensive efforts, the case remained frustratingly open-ended. Witnesses described a chaotic scene, a sea of people running in every direction. No one had seen the shooter clearly enough to identify them. What police did know was that Ryan Szabo had no known enemies. He had been a talented dancer, a rising star in the competitive scene. His murder appeared targeted, but the motive was unclear. For 2 weeks, law enforcement maintained a constant presence at the Cultural Centre. Daniel found himself having to identify himself daily just to enter his own home. More than a decade has passed. Daniel still searches for updates on the case, hoping for answers. But to this day, Ryan Szabo's killer remains unidentified. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing and liking the channel. If you know of any eerie stories you'd like exposed, please comment below.